Hey, welcome to Adventures with Peps. Today we are painting the Alaitoc Craftworld to a very simple tabletop standard. Lots of contrast paints, lots of Zandry Dust, lots of just making a mess as I try to work out what Craftworld I want to do for the new Aeldari codex. Let's jump in, and I hope you enjoy. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit comment, do anything, just do it. Right, so here you go. As you can see, I jumped straight in and did the Leviathan blue. Completely forgot to hit record, but basically black primer, grey primer, white primer, and then flayed flesh as my top layer. I then covered it all in Leviathan blue, which I'm now showing off to you. But yeah, gave us a nice coat. I then hit it up with Telecus blue as a dry brush. The goal here was just to hit all those edges, brighten up the model, take it up a few layers, just make it look more Alaitoc than just some random blue guy. Have to admit, looking at just this simple like dark blue slash fleshy colour, I kind of like this scheme for a model. I may have to play around with this one at some point. But yeah, as you can see, I went over once. I didn't think it caught enough for what I'm trying to achieve, so I hit it again a lot harder. As you've probably now started to see in a lot of my painting videos, I like to do a very strong highlight and then knock it back with washes at a later date, so that's going to happen with this model. Just being rough and quick with the dry brush. Nothing too fancy. As you can see, he's now picking up a lot more of the lighter blue. Of course, I then had to go back in and mess around with some flayed one flesh again, just to cover up some of the damage that I'd done on the faceplate. And those shoulder pads, I definitely messed them up a little bit. Also trying to make the helmet a lot smoother. The yellow, when I come to that point, it's going to show up every issue that you've got with a paint scheme. So it's better to have a nice smooth, flat finish on it all. As you can see, I missed a massive chunk of flash on the side of the helmet. I could have gone in and fixed it, but this is a test model for the scheme, so I didn't really see much point at this stage. If I decide to go this scheme completely, I will go back and fix this model. But yeah, no real point at this point. I'm using the word point a lot, I apologise. I also colour it the tubin on the gun. Not entirely sure what the tubin does for these shuriken weapons, but I guess it powers them somehow. And then, yeah, I go over the gun, brighten it up. I go back to the shoulder pad again, do a bit more work on that one. I'd thinned my paints a little bit too much, so it took a couple of coats to get this flat again. Then Nazdrag yellow. I was thinking for the faceplate to use this colour on it, with the idea being that it would be a darker yellow compared to the Iyanden that I'm going to use on the actual yellow. I didn't stick to that scheme in the end, but I thought I'd keep this in because you'll notice later on that it's a slightly different colour. But yeah, contrast paints are wonderful. Like, it was so easy to paint that faceplate. The colours just flowed into the crevices. Then snakebite leather. Since doing this on the last Guardian project, the Samhain Guardian, I've enjoyed how it looks on the catapult. So we're doing that again. So just a nice heavy, get the wash on, let the wash do its job, cover the gun, cover the piping, job done. Just look at it, it's so easy to do this stage. There's no finesse. Stick the brush where it's got to go and cover the model in the paint. Look at that, it's already shaping up nicely. Right, Iyanden yellow, so this is going to hit up the shoulder pads, the helmet. Look at that, nice and quick, nothing fancy. Just slapping it on, get the helmet. And it's pretty much done. Now if you really didn't care and you were just getting some colour down, you could technically stop here. It's got 3 colours, yellow, brown, blue, job done. You are legally painted, tabletop ready army. You're just not going to win many points at a tournament, but he is technically now tournament ready. Whilst the blue and the brown and the yellows are drying, I just go over the grey base with Agrax Earthshade, Team Agrax. Just slapping it on, let the wash do the work. Look at that. That's technically tabletop ready. Then it's my favourite paint ever, the Zandry Dust. This I initially am going to hit up the gun just to try and lighten it up, give it a more bone-esque texture. And then I'm also going to cover the model like I normally do. Because then when I apply my washes and my additional blues, this is just going to pick them up and carry us across the finish line. This is that stage when you're painting that you look at the model and you're like, ugh, I've messed it up. But it will make sense hopefully by the end of the video. Right, Talesia blue. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. It's a very bright blue. It's also a new paint for me. First time using it, and as you see, I will dab it onto the model's chest, body, legs. The idea is it should cover the Zandry Dust and get a nice bright highlight. And hopefully the Leviathan blue stays dominant. But as I'm putting it on, I am actually getting worried that this isn't working the way I think it should. The model is looking very bright. I just have to roll with it. My lighting goes weird for some reason. I don't know what happened here. Flash kit yellow on the shoulder pad and the helmet, just to help make the model pop a bit more. Not touching that face plate, because I still haven't fully decided on whether I like that shade of yellow or not, but it makes sense to have a two-tonal helmet. The model is looking very bright, in my opinion. And then I discover that the blue hadn't fully dried, and it bled into the yellow. I try to fix it, and I just make it worse. So I just leave it to dry. Patience is not one of my virtues. But I go back, flayed one flash. This is next day, the lighting's fixed itself. I go in, touch up where the colours had bled, which was also onto his chest plate, and I completely recover that shoulder pad. And get that back to a state where we can do something with it. I forget to Leviathan blue the chest, like a fool, like an idiot. So as I put that on, you can see how bright it is, and I'm like, what have I done? It's like, nope. What am I doing? This isn't right. This is the wrong blue. Look at it. It's so bright. I can see it working well for some schemes, but not the scheme I'm working on. And then I'm like, oh, there's my blue. So whilst it's still wet, I just get a little bit of the Leviathan blue, tap it on, try and keep the edges a little bit brighter. And then it's this stage that I'm like, I don't like the yellow, I'm going blue. So I Leviathan blue the faceplate, which I think matches the Alaitoc paint scheme a lot better than what I was trying to achieve. I think I've seen more artwork where they have a blue face paint. There you go, you can see the models taking shape. I think up next will be the yellow once again. I don't bother with the contrast Iyanden this time, I'm just going in with the flash kit. This is the test scheme model. I know how I would paint it if I decide to go with this scheme. I did question whether I wanted to do their camouflage pattern or not, and use like a sponge to like splatter on some light blues, but I didn't like the idea. I feel like that's probably beyond my skill set. So we're keeping it simple, we're keeping it blue and yellow. Go back to this bright blue, and we do a little line highlighting. And I just pick out the edges that I think would catch the light a bit more on the model. And there is a lot on an Elder Guardian. They have a lot of edges. I'm not going delicate, this is just a line infantryman. But here you go. I'm working on the chest now. Trying to keep my lines as clean as possible. The only problem I have is I'm not delicate. I either over thin my paints or I don't thin them enough. And in this case for the chest, I definitely did not thin them enough. And a big blob comes out and covers the recess. But we'll go back later and fix that, so it's not the end of the world. But here we go, picking out chest. Good old finger wipe to the rescue. Pick out some fire plates. Make the model look all nice and pretty. There's just so many little details on the Guardian. If you're a really good painter, you can have so much fun with this model. I'm also very glad that the new models pretty much look like these. They're slimmer, they're using more modern techniques to make the model look nicer. But yeah, they're still this Guardian. I'm so glad they didn't change them too much. And I'm definitely buying some of the new box sets when they come out. But for now, we'll keep practicing on this. I do think the next Craftworld scheme I'm going to try out is Lugnanaf. Sorry if I just destroyed that name. So that's the bright orange and black scheme. Yeah. I haven't decided what Craftworld I want to do when these new kits come out. I have a massive Iyanden force, which I love, but the new kits, I feel like it's time to try a new Craftworld. I'm also very tempted to try doing a Corsair force. I could do like the Eldritch Raiders, which would make sense with Iyanden because of Prince Uriel and him being the leader of the faction. But it really depends what the rules are like when they come out. So with my clumsy paint schemes, I just grab the Leviathan blue, go back in, clean up some areas, knock it back, make the edge highlight and look a little bit sharper, give it a nice clean up, fix the faceplate a little bit, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with this scheme. And then the final step, some flayed one flesh, picking out just some little points that I want to pop a little bit more. So there's some ribbon on his leg. He has a belt aspect going on. I'm not going crazy with this, it's just something that can distract the eye a little bit. And no paint job is complete without another dry brushing of Zandry Dust, just to lighten up the gun. Just a nice little back and forth to help it pop. And there we go. A very simple, a very easy paint scheme. I'm not super excited about it. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, but it's not. I don't think it's going to be my choice. One day I will find the paint scheme that I want to paint, but it is not this day. And I think this is pretty much where I'm going to stop on this model. I'll try and take some close-up shots. I hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough of what I'm up to. Remember to drop me a like, a subscribe, and all that lovely stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.